Hi, welcome back to my channel. This is Sofa Sessions, so this series where I am joined with various different people from different parts of the musical theatre and performance industry. And today I am joined by Charlotte from CMR Photography. How are you, Charlotte?
I'm good, thank you.
Do you want to start by telling us a little bit about CMR Photography?
Yeah, of course. So I started CMR Photography 4 years ago. It was never something intentional. It was always just something I did for a hobby and something I wanted to do in my spare time because I was a performer myself. And I just said to myself, Charlotte, you need a hobby. You need something that you can take yourself away from performing, and just when you're at home, you can just do something else. It doesn't necessarily need to be related to what we do within the industry, but just something I enjoy. Yeah. And I was going to Bali on holiday, and my parents for Christmas, they were like, what do you want for your birthday and what do you want for Christmas? Because my birthday and Christmas are quite similar. And I went, I don't know, like, I'm at that age now that if you give me money, it's going to get wasted. It will go on life, it will go on council tax, it will go on rent. If you give me, like, I don't need anything, I don't want anything, so maybe get me something I can use. So they just bought me a little cheap camera for cash converters, and I just fell in love with it. I just fell in love with taking photos. It wasn't until I got back from Bali and I started taking photos of people that I thought, actually, I really enjoy this. And I was lucky that I had Bird College on my doorstep because that's where I trained. And I had loads of people asking me, oh, can you take some photos for me? Because I've just recently cut my hair. And I went, oh, I don't know what I'm doing, but great, cool. They do this, don't they? So I started dabbling with that. And then all of a sudden, agents started really liking what I was doing. And I started really just kind of building from there and progressing my work. And all of a sudden, I was really, really overworking myself. And someone turned around and said, Charlotte, just pay for your time. Like, just charge for your time. Like, at the end of the day, all of your free time now you're doing is taking photos and editing photos. So I decided to like stop doing like as much of my like part-time work. I was working in a bar, and I started just charging, I think it was £40 just for my time. And all of a sudden I was fully booked. I went, oh, okay. I was just using Instagram. It was nothing like, it was no like, I wasn't professional at this point. It was just a case of, I just really enjoy doing it, so I'm going to take photos. And then it got to, I think, probably a year. It wasn't like one of those things where I picked up a camera and all of a sudden I've got a full-blown business. It took time. And then someone said, Charlotte, maybe get a website. I got a website and I just put my prices up just to see what would happen. And I was fully booked again, like a month, 2 months in advance. And at this point I was working in Covent Garden and just outside in a little tunnel. All of a sudden I quit my normal job, which I didn't think I'd be able to do, which was crazy. I started like dabbling in like studio work and started like getting into like fashion stuff and full lengths and lighting and just learning a bit more. I'm someone that loves learning. I don't care what it is. I love learning.
Yeah, that makes sense.
So for me, it wasn't a case of picking up a camera and going, okay, I can do it now. It was constantly like trying to learn new things, what things meant, how to light someone, or seeing a photo of someone that someone else had done and trying to like recreate that or learn how they did that. And so I worked from home for a year, 2 years, and I'd up my price again. I actually, at one point, I got rid of my bed and I started doing headshots in my room.
Right. Wow.
And then lockdown hit and I went, I can't work from home anymore. I can't physically because of like guidelines and like guidance and things. And I just saw a studio which was just down the road from me. And I went, do you know what? I'll have a look at it, see what it's like. And it was perfect, just down the road. So I moved into my full studio thinking, oh, it might only work out for like a month, 2 months, but it's fine. It'll get me tied over until I can find something permanent or see where we're going or what's going to happen. And I've pretty much been booked out for 2 months in advance since, which is crazy. It's nuts to think of it. And I'm now one of the more recognized photographers in London, which
Yeah.
for me is just it's just nuts when I think about it. Or when I ask someone that comes to me and says, oh, like, where did you find out about me? Or like, how did you like, who did you find out? Or like, who are you recommended by? And the amount of people now that say, oh no, my agent said to come to you, or you were on a list from the college, that like the college sends out lists of photographers, and I was on it. And I went, oh, okay, that's cool. And there's not many young female photographers either, because it's very male driven. So it's just crazy to think that I'm one of the high, like the more recommended photographers in London, and one of the only young females, which is it's nuts. But yeah, that's a little bit about me.
Cool, amazing. Because you haven't always been a photographer, have you? As you were saying, you were a performer before. Do you still perform at all, or did you just fall out of love with it?
So I trained at Bird, and I did musical theatre, singing, dancing, acting. I always really struggled at college. Don't get me wrong, like my training was phenomenal. The training at like some of these theatre schools are great. They're amazing. But I always say that colleges are like learning to drive. Colleges will teach you the maneuvers, the theory behind it. They'll teach you how to pass your test, but you don't actually learn about the industry until you're in the car by yourself, learning to drive by yourself. And then once you're in the car by yourself, you don't necessarily do all of the things you were told in your lessons. And it's the exact same in the industry. Once I started doing photography, actually, I started working, performing. So I started doing the photography 2 years out of college, so in 2017. And that's because I think I was just a little bit more relaxed and a little bit more chilled in the auditions, because I wasn't putting all of that pressure on myself to get a job. So you do.
I think you do, don't you? Put so much pressure on getting that audition, which obviously it is really important, but I think that's why it's also so important to have a life outside of performing, so that you don't have that pressure on yourself.
Exactly. So I went in for this audition and it all went well, and got right down to the end, and I got an email through saying that I got the job. It was Beauty and the Beast, and I did that in the Middle East for 3 months, and I absolutely loved it, and it was a great contract. And then when I got back again, as our industry kind of goes, it's not a case of you get one job and then you go straight into another. And I was, for a long while, I was battling with the photography and performing, because I felt like if I'm doing something else, I'm giving up something.
Right.
And I always tell people now that it's okay to have something else we do. And it's not necessarily a case of backup. Like, photography for me isn't a backup. It's just something else I really enjoyed alongside. And don't get me wrong, I parted ways with my previous agent just before the January lockdown, because we both agreed that I wasn't enjoying auditions. And I said that, if it got to a point further down the line where I wanted to start again, then I will. But for now, I'm happy doing what I'm doing. And I think that's important. And it just, mentally, it took me a very long time to realise it's okay.
Yeah. What's your favourite thing about what you do? Like, why do you love like headshots, body shots? Like, because you do a whole variety of stuff now.
Yeah. One of my favourite things is when I get a client come to me and they say, I'm just so unphotogenic. I just hate photos of my face. Or, I can tell that they're really just not confident. And, when sometimes in sessions with myself, it's almost a little bit like life coaching.
Right. Yeah.
Because I get it, as a performer, sometimes I wasn't given the help, or I didn't know certain things, or, so sometimes when I'm in a session, I'll give them a little bit of casting advice, or, go, oh, you'd be really suited to this, or I think you'd be really suited to that. And then one of my favorite things is when they get their images back, and because I tend not to show them in sessions of their headshots or their fashion or body shots, because I'd rather them chill and relax. So it's really nice when they see the headshots and then they see what they look like. And I know that feeling from being a performer and then seeing photos that look like me but actually look amazing.
Yeah.
And you're going, oh, I just look so great. It's just making someone feel great.
Yeah.
And it's that feeling of, it's kind of it's an act of selfishness, kind of, if that makes sense. Because it makes me feel good that you guys feel good.
Yeah, I don't think that's selfish. I think that's selfless. Yeah, because it matters to you that that person is happy with themselves, because that's what they are. That's what they are. It's a picture of you, but yeah, because of you.
That's one of my favorite things, is when, you know, I get clients that especially when they come for body shots, and I tend to do quite a lot of dancers or performers that just want to feel great. And they want a bit of a confidence boost. And I do get performers that come to me for, you know, a bit more of the risque, you know, lingerie shots that never get shown. They never get put onto social media. They never get put onto their spotlights. But they just want them for them.
Yeah.
And I'm all for that. I'm all for that. And I think that's great. And I love being able to make someone feel confident and feel great within their own skin.
Yeah.
Nice. And just have a little bit of a confidence boost. I think it's like, I just love it. It's great. And I like being a part of their journey.
Yeah.
And once they've had their headshots taken, or I then see them in a program, or I see that they've got a job, or I see that they're graduating, and it's just a really nice feeling.
Yeah. No, that's lovely. That's really nice. No, I get what you're saying. It's nice to be part of the journey. So talk us through what a headshot or like a fashion, I mean, talk us through maybe both, what a session with you looks like. Talk us through.
Yeah, so once you've kind of booked a session with me through the website, you'll get a PDF which I've kind of put onto my Instagram as well. I'm starting to do the guides, because you've got those new guides now on Instagram, which are amazing. So I kind of give you like advice of like what to wear and how to do makeup or men's grooming. You're more than welcome to like message me beforehand if you're stuck with ideas. I always say, like, especially for fashion stuff, Pinterest is the best place for it, especially when you're looking at ideas for outfits or where you kind of want to go or what you need them for. I always say to clients, have a very clear understanding before you come, if you can, of what you need photos for.
Yeah.
If you have an agent, speak to your agent, because your agent will understand what you need. And casting wise, and I understand that new graduates might not necessarily know casting. I didn't know my casting until 2 years out of graduating. I didn't know what I wanted to do or where I was going, and that quickly changed as well. It changed quite a few times of what I wanted to do and where I thought my casting kind of lied. But some people do. They have a very clear understanding and a clear knowledge of what they want. So I say always, you know, make sure you bring tops and hair accessories and makeup or grooming, depending for that. And then in a session, I tend to work more, and I tell clients I prefer to chat for England, as you can tell. And I prefer to chat for about half an hour before a session, and then get an hour and a half in of photos, but all of those photos be really usable. Then just meet you straight away. You come into the room, set your tops up, and then I've got the first session up and I've got the first setup up. I'd rather chat and make you feel comfortable.
Yeah.
And then in a session, it would be so relaxed and so chilled. I prefer to think that I'm more like a friend taking photos than, you know, be really strict, regimented, and almost like a conveyor belt. I prefer that because it's just a nicer environment. And because I'm at the age as well where I'm probably still going to know someone, you know.
Yeah.
Which is always the case in our industry. It's like, oh, I know so-and-so that knows so-and-so, or like, oh, where did you train? I go, oh, do you know that person, or do you know that teacher? And they're like, yeah. So it's nice that you kind of get common ground. And then we'll kind of choose through tops. I prefer people that bring more than what we need, because if you kind of bring two plain tops from Primark, there's not really much I can do with that in a 2-hour session. So I prefer people that do bring a lot more than what we've got to work with. If it's a beautiful day like it was today, I would probably do a couple of outdoor setups, and then I'd do indoor setups with natural light, and then with studio lighting, because there's a little bit of a difference. So with natural light, it's a bit softer, it's a bit more clean. And then with studio lighting, it can be a bit harsher, and you can control the lighting and where it's coming from. So you can get a bit more creative with the shots that you're getting. But there's not a favored, there's not a, it's there's sometimes people think that, oh, well, natural light headshots are better than studio. It's not the case at all. A lot of people think that, natural light stuff is more important for your portfolio than studio work. And I've seen a lot of photographers now use studio work, and it's just equally as good as natural light. And then after a session with myself, you will get a contact sheet through, and I normally give between 400 and 600 images if it's a headshot session, or a body shot session. If it's a full package with all of it, it'd probably be more 1,000 images. And then I keep them on file for 2 years. So I understand if a performer needs new headshots, because sometimes we pick 4 or 5 headshots that might not necessarily work for us, or we get a new agent, and our agent turns around to us and says, have you got anything else? And you go, no. And then that's when your agent says, well, maybe you need new headshots. And it can be really frustrating when it's just cost us £250, £400 for a headshot session a year prior. So I always say to people, show the agent the contact sheet and give them the opportunity to pick the headshots that they would like for your spotlight. And then I take about 3 to 5 working days to get headshots back. And I'm always that kind of person that says that if you need my help choosing your headshots from like an outside perspective, just message me and I'll kind of like help you choose. But, at the end of the day, they're your headshots. I always just say, try not to be, I said, we're our own worst critic when we're picking our headshots. Yeah. So try and get everyone else's opinion before you choose them, because we might choose a photo because we like a certain side of a face. Yeah. Yeah. Whereas a casting director won't know if you've got a slight squint in your right eye. Yeah. And they don't care. You don't need to choose the prettiest picture or the one where your hair looks nice. Sometimes my graduating headshot I hated, but it was the one that worked. And it's not necessarily the prettiest headshots that are the ones that get you seen. It's the ones that are quirky, or the ones that show you as a character. Yeah. It's the amount of people I've said, maybe rethink your headshot choices because they've chosen the same pose, just in a different top, with the same hair, same side of the face, just with a different top, different background. I say, look, like really think about your castings, or really think about what you'd like to do and what you want to do audition wise, and then choose photos you think would represent that casting. And just so you've got a really nice broad range. I always say it's great to smile in photos, even if you hate it. Just have one. Just one that you've got smiling, because especially if you want to do TV and film, if you've not got anything with smiling photos, in TV and film, you're going to be showing your teeth. Yeah. And if you've got nothing with you smiling, instantly a casting director might go, well, what's wrong with their teeth? What are they hiding? Right. So I always say, it's always just good to just have one, even if it's not your main one, just to have one, even if you hate it. I think it shows you're going to be a fun person to work with, I think, as well. Exactly. And, the more range and diversity you have in your headshots, the more it shows that you take direction, and the more diverse you are as a performer, and the more expressive you are. And it's just always great to get range in your headshots. And I mean, that's one thing that I always try and get in a headshot session. And I always say to people, I'd rather you come away with too much and more than what you need, so you can go back to it. So you can go back to that headshot with your hair up in a leather jacket if you need it. You don't necessarily need to get it, but it's there if you never need it. I always say,
Yeah.
I don't want you coming away going, oh, I wish I did that. It'd have taken me 5 minutes. I'd rather you go in. And that's what I say to people, especially when they're booking a headshot session with anyone. You know, just ask the photographer. Because normally 9 times out of 10, they'll say, yeah, no, that's absolutely fine. Cool, great. And I think sometimes we prefer that because then we've got direction. We know where we're going. Because, you know, if we've got nothing to feed off of, we'll just kind of go with the flow. And then it's really frustrating when you get someone that says, oh, you know, like, you know, we just didn't get anything with my hair up. And I said, well, you didn't ask. If you don't ask, you don't get. And it's the same kind of thing. You know, sometimes we don't think of every kind of option for you. If you turn around and say, you know, I really want something with my hair up, I really want something with my hair down, maybe a red lipstick at some point, or I really want to shave at some point, you'll absolutely accommodate for that. It's just making sure, again, you're prepared. If you come to a headshot session, or if you come to a portfolio session, you don't really know what you want. You don't really know. Like, I've got some tops. Like, I just literally picked my wardrobe last night. Don't really know. And then you come to a session, your headshots or your portfolio isn't going to be as great as if you would have prepared a week prior and gone, okay, well, I'm going to try this hairdo now because I want to do something with my hair up and I want it down a little bit curly. So I'm going to try it now. So when I get into the session, I know that I want that and I know how it works. Or I'm going to start curling my hair now and see how long it takes to drop. Or if I like my hair straight, for example, or if I like my hair curly, or I'm going to buy a few tops from ASOS that I think work for me. Keep the tags in. And then take them back straight away after. You know, you're going to be wearing them for 10 minutes max.
So it's sort of linked to that, but let's look at like what are your like top tips. You kind of mentioned like tops and things, so obviously like tops, jackets. So for preparing for a headshot session or a full body shoot, what are your top tips? Like you've said, tops, jackets, like obviously avoiding patterns and things, like thinking of your casting characters, like throw your that.
I mean, top tips for like life is just be prepared. But you know, be prepared for your headshot session. That's like my biggest tip, is the better prepared you are and with the better understanding of what you'd like and what you'd want, even if it's down to you've screenshotted a couple of photos and that's the style that you're after, we know as then photographers where we're going, what we want from you. You know, I'll always talk in a session about, you know, what their goals, what their dreams are, what their ambitions are, where they could see themselves in an industry. So I kind of get a vision of where I'm going with headshots or with portfolio stuff. But again, the more prepared you are, the better a session's going to be, because I know directly where we're going and what we're doing. Skin wise, drink water, prep your skin, make sure if you're going to do a face mask, you do it a couple of days before, because you can break out afterwards. But breakouts aren't the end of the world. It happens. It can be due to a time of the month, or it could be due to the weather change or stress, anything. Everyone has a breakout. Men, again, prepare. If you're planning on shaving, bring the equipment that you're going to need, especially when it comes down to if you're doing a clean shave. You understand your own skin. You know if you need to take 10 minutes to let the skin settle because you know it's going to get red and inflamed. Bring the moisturizer according for that. Oh, and washing hair. That's my other kind of tip before a headshot session. Try not wash it the morning of. Unless you want that kind of fluffy hair. If you want that kind of fluffy, like blow-dried hair, absolutely wash it the morning of. But if you want hair that can be styled, especially for curling hair, or if you're putting your hair up, it's better if you wash it the night before and then you style it the morning of. And be on time, or be early, never be late.
Yeah, I mean, you also want to make sure that you arrive, you've got time to chill, you've got time to chat to you, so that you're not, otherwise if you're all in like a flash,
You're all
you're going to be a hot
flustered.
session. Yeah, so you're not going to, the first sort of 20 minutes or whatever of your session is going to be rubbish, a waste of time, because you're just not in the right mindset.
Exactly. Like, I think they're my kind of biggest tips. So prepare water, know your own skin and know your own body and what it does, and be on time, know your routes. And I had a lovely girl recently come to me, bless her, and if she ever watches this, she'll be like, oh no. And it was fine in the end. But she texted me, she called me at 10 o'clock saying, I'm a bit lost. I went, where are you? She went, I'm in Muswell Hill. And for those that know me, I'm in South London, so I'm in Sidcup. And she was all the way in North London.
Oh.
And I said, how did you manage to get to North London? She went, well, I just typed in 35 Alma Road. I went, did you not type in the postcode? She went, no. So it was fine. We ended up doing the session later in the day anyway, because I had a free time. But bless her, I think she had a 2-hour train ride into London, and then she had to wait in London for 3-4 hours whilst I had another session to then have her own headshots done. So I always say to people, like, especially if you're driving or if you're getting the travel and train links in, do not look the morning of. Do not check the morning of. When you book your session or before you book your session, check your travel links, check the routes you're planning. So when you do get there, you're not flustered, you're not stressing, because you've only got 5 minutes to catch a connecting train. And especially for those that don't know London as well, the tube systems can be a bit confusing, or overground, underground, like National Rail. It can be a bit confusing. So I always say, just know your routes before you go.
Yeah, or if you really need to, like, do a practice run, or
exactly.
Which I think, actually, mentioning practice run, like, you should be doing that with your look as well for your headshot session, shouldn't you? Like, whatever jackets or tops or whatever that you're going to be wearing, shirts, hairstyles, makeup styles, all of that. You should be.
The amount of people that I get in a headshot session that will say, I say, oh, should we do something with your hair up? And they go, yeah, I haven't like, yeah. I'm like, okay, cool. I'm like, maybe like have it like pinned or something, like with a bit kind of like coming down. Go, well, I've never tried that. Yeah. And I go, okay, that's fine. But I'm thinking, like, if there's a possibility that you might do a hair up, try it.
Yeah.
Just
even
test
if it's
it,
like
because
half up, half down,
exactly,
curly, straight, whatever hair change.
Exactly, because if I said at that point in time, oh, should we do something with your hair up? You can say, oh yeah, cool, I've already done this with my hair up and I quite liked it. Or I said, oh, I tried a hair up and I didn't like it. So is it okay if we just stay with our hair down? At that point I say, yeah, cool, great. Because we might do a hair up and I go, actually, no, it doesn't work. And then we've wasted half an hour with you trying to put your hair up.
Yeah. What about with people that wear glasses, or maybe like accessories like jewelry, things like that? What are your thoughts on that?
Glasses. So my tip for glasses is, if you wear glasses, make sure you get anti-glare. I think it's like £20 more now, but I promise, like, in the long run, if you get anti-glare glasses, A, for looking at computers and things, but B, if you're in flashing lights, you don't get the reflection from the glasses. Right. So it makes creative, like us as a creative, it makes our life a lot easier, especially if you're doing anything for TV and film or commercial casting or your headshots or videography work or show reels. It just makes it a lot easier. So make sure, if you do have glasses and you do want to wear your glasses, they're anti-glare. If you wear glasses all of the time, you never take them off, you're always going to be wearing them. You're going to be wearing them for an audition. You're going to be wearing them for your singing rounds, even in a dance round sometimes. If you wear glasses, I mean, I wouldn't recommend wearing glasses for dancing, but sometimes needs must. You can get headshots done with your glasses. It's not going to be it's not like you don't have to wear glasses. At the end of the day, you've got to look like you. Sometimes some people wear glasses some of the time, and I say, that's fine, we can get a couple and it can be a bit more of a character look and a bit more quirky. And it's the same with jewelry. As a ground rule, I always say no to jewelry, just because it detracts. And at the end of the day, our headshots are about us. They're not about what we're wearing.
Yeah.
We just want things that complement us and that are going to make us stand out more, rather than go, oh, they're big hoop earrings, aren't they?
Yeah.
But sometimes, like, if you're in certain instances, if we're doing a kind of a character look and you want something a bit more gritty, focused towards EastEnders, for example, or Coronation Street, something a bit more rough and ready, then yeah, of course, we can try a couple of character shots. But as a whole, if we're doing like just normal kind of headshots, that kind of broad universal for everything, I would normally say no to jewelry. But glasses, absolutely. If you wear glasses all the time, then yeah, of course, wear glasses.
Do you recommend, like, for people that wear makeup, that it's sort of quite natural, what they would normally wear?
So
like, what's the crack with eyelashes? Because so many people have, like, well, they have eyelash extensions and stuff now. So what are your...
So when it comes down to makeup, and when people say, oh, like, what's natural? I always say, do your natural.
Yeah. Because
that's the other thing as well. When people say natural, they go, oh, it means I have to be barefaced. It means I've got no makeup on, nothing. And I always say to people, that doesn't necessarily mean that it's like barefaced, like bare minimum, like no makeup at all. It just means you need to go back to basics.
Yeah, or look kind of natural. I guess you don't want like bright blue eyeshadow.
I always say to people, you've got to look like you in your headshots. If you always wear a nude lipstick, then yeah, that's your natural.
Yeah.
But if you never wear lipstick ever, why would you put one on?
Yeah.
Because if it's because you think, oh, well, I have to wear it because, I've got my headshots and it will make my, like, I've got to stand out a little bit and maybe I'll get a little bit more glammed. When you go into that audition and you're looking completely different to what that photo looks like, it's not going to correlate, and agents and casting directors are going to see completely different to who they've brought in.
Yeah, I guess that's the same as well with if you do wear heavier makeup, or if you are someone, I mean, it's the same with hair, isn't it? If you're someone that has bright pink hair, don't dye your hair brown for your headshot session. Like, have your hair true to what it's going to be when you walk in the room.
Exactly. And I always say to people, don't get caught up on makeup trends or styling trends, because they are a trend. For example, the Kim K contour, love it to bits, but for your headshots, probably not, because it might not be in it. We need headshots that are going to be used for at least 2 years.
Yeah, otherwise you're going to be spending so much money, aren't you? You know, if you're going to be doing stuff that is trending, you're going to need your headshots updated every couple of months.
Exactly. And I mean, it's a personal preference, but like, for example, I don't like the laminated brows. Some people, they really suit them and it gives them that really lovely bushy eyebrow, but is it going to be as popular in 2 years' time?
Yeah.
And then you're going to get people looking at your headshot going, what have you done to your eyebrows, or what did you do there? It's just one of those trends. So I always say, try and stick to classic makeup. Eyelash extensions, I get, and I do understand that some people really feel that they have to wear them. Personally, I would say no, unless they're the individuals. So you can get like the individual ones you can put on, just to kind of bring it out into the corner. But other than that, as a photographer and as a retoucher, we can add to the face. So we can, if you're shiny, for example, we can take away the shine. We can make your eyes stand out a bit more by darkening your eyelashes. We can add a bit of blusher to the cheeks. We can even tint the lips. We can do things. We can give you a little bit of a contour, but we can't take away as easily as we can add.
Yeah, sure.
So if you're wearing foundation that's the wrong shade for your face to your neck, it's going to be really difficult for us to change that. Or
Right.
if you're wearing too much eyeshadow and you're wearing a really smoky eye, we can't take that away. That's there.
Yeah.
So, we can add and we can build in a session, because I can, you can come with really natural makeup or really natural grooming, and I can say, oh, maybe we can add a bit more mascara, or let's add maybe a blush, or have you got a lipstick that we can add? And we can build and we can add in a session to kind of get the looks that are required and desired. But if you come into a session with a full face of makeup, your hair all done, and that's why I say it's really careful if you're planning on booking makeup artists for headshot sessions or body shot sessions or full packages, because it's really important to get a makeup artist that understands our industry.
Yeah, and you and your face, and make sure you have a practice session so that you know that you're going to be happy with what they do, rather than it's a little bit like your wedding. On your wedding day, you don't just have a makeup artist turn up. Like, you always do a trial session to make sure that you're happy with what it's on the day. It's the same thing.
There are obviously some really good makeup artists within the headshot business. Just do research. Always do your research. Ask the photographer if they've got any recommendations, if that's what you'd like, because you feel really uncomfortable with doing your own makeup, but you'd really like that. Just do your research. Ask the photographer. The photographer should know. If not, they'll know someone that does know. Because sometimes, if you think, oh, I just get a makeup artist through, and you go to like a MAC store, for example, and you get your makeup done with MAC. Makeup might look stunning. You might look absolutely beautiful, but for a headshot, not the look you're going for.
You've got to then duplicate that, because your headshot is, like you were saying, it is got to be you. So if you don't look like that every single day, or every time you turn up to an audition, that headshot is worthless to you.
No, exactly. There's no point. If you've got beautiful curly hair in your headshots, and you've got a flawless makeup, and you look really glamorous, and then you rock into the audition, you always have your hair straight, you never wear any makeup, they're just not going to put two and two together, and then they're going to get annoyed because they think they've brought in someone completely different. So not only are you wasting your time, you're wasting their time.
You're probably also missing out on getting called in for jobs that actually you'd be perfect for, with your straighter hair and plainer face.
Exactly. So, it's always really important, because it's not only you that your headshots affect.
Yeah.
And I think that's another thing as well that, I forget sometimes, that, headshots are there for obviously casting directors and for agents, as well as us. Yeah. So, if our headshots are wrong, or they don't look like us, a casting director will bring in that person that they think is amazing, because they think, yeah, great, suits that role. If that person doesn't look like the headshot, it all kind of links. So, getting your headshot is really important. Not only for yourself as an actor or a performer, but for the casting directors, because, they need to get it right too.
Yeah, definitely. Everyone's kind of riding on it, aren't they? So it's super important to have headshots that correctly represent you and the roles that you can.
Exactly. And you're right, by having headshots that don't represent you, you might be missing out on opportunities that do work for you.
Yeah, definitely.
100%.
Cool. Before, I feel like we've kind of covered literally everything in this, which is awesome. Before we finish, I like to ask everyone this question. If you could have dinner with anyone at all, either alive or past in the world, who would you have dinner with?
Oh, that's a good one, isn't it? Oh, that's toughy.
I know. I feel like every time I'm like, I should have prepped you for this. Giving you time.
Can I have two?
Yeah, of course.
Am I allowed to have two? Okay, so the first one for me is he's one of my favorite composers, and that's Alan Menken.
Yeah, amazing. I love that.
I think I would absolutely love to have dinner with Alan Menken and just kind of like be in awe of like everything, and just chat to him about Disney. And my second one's probably a bit more personal, And if I could, and I mean, bless her, she's a bit away with the fairies now, but I would have loved to have sat down with both of my grandparents, because backstory, my grandparents were famous.
Cool.
Yeah. My granddad was a famous director, and my nan was a famous, she was a principal dancer for the Rambert Ballet, and she was an on-screen actress.
Right.
But in the 1940s, 1950s.
Yeah.
And my granddad is passed now, and my nan is a bit doolally now. Bless her, she's away with the fairies. But I'd have loved to have, at the age I was now, if it was a few years ago, I'd have loved to have been able to sit down with them both and just listen to the stories.
Yeah.
About the industry back then. I'd have loved to have, because I mean, my nan, she was in a production with Ivor Novello.
Wow.
Yeah, so that kind of like calibre of like Carry On films, and I'd have just loved to have learnt about it.
That's amazing. That would, you can definitely have more than one person.
Yeah.
I love that. Awesome. Fab. Thank you so much for joining me for this, Charlotte.
That's okay.
And hopefully, if you're watching this, then you found this useful. Obviously, if you do want to check out Charlotte's work, then you can either look on Instagram or on her website, which both are CMR Photography.
Yeah, CMR Photography. Yeah. And I'm always that kind of person as well, that like, if you do need like any advice and you're getting your head, like, headshot photography, we're nice. We're not going to, be, well, why are you going to so and so, or why are you not coming to me? If you've got any questions about your headshots and you're going to someone else and you need some advice, just ask. It's fine. I'm not like, we're there to help.
Yeah.
So if you need any help with anything, my DMs are always open.
Fabulous. Awesome. Thank you so much, Charlotte.
That's all right. Well, have a lovely day.
Thank you. If you did like this video, then please do give it a like, share it with anyone that maybe you know that is thinking about booking headshots soon, or wants to get some new headshots done, isn't sure about their current headshots, anything headshot related. And of course, subscribe if you haven't already for more upcoming sofa sessions. But have a lovely rest of your day, and Charlotte, I'll see you soon.
Yes, bye.
Bye.